Coulda, woulda, shoulda been inanimate, this animal that I have been. I merit nothing but the wages of a worker with a list of sins. It's been several years with this addiction. And I can see that it's not easy to cease this doing me, so who will kill this animal that claws the insides of me? You see, this animal merits nothing but the hands of she who can't even hear you when you scream, who knows nothing about compassion, but she'll compass him whenever she deems, who won't even shed a tear when she makes nightmares out of dreams, but she'll make torrents of the tears that overflowed like silent streams. She used to fear death. I used to cringe at the thought of her taking my life as payment for the debts often popular, and yet I still took loans out on my life instead of taking out life insurance. Committed actions daily because I weakly believed in blessed assurance, and I didn't think much of it until months went by. Until I realized that I was taking advantage of this gift we call forgiveness. I received it, used it, and then returned it at my convenience. I had my sins on rinse and repeat until I decided to make a New Year's resolution that I would get my life together. I would do anything I needed to get right with God. Well, that was 10 years ago. 10 years of exchanging counterfeit deeds for prestige in the church, of faking it till I make it, of wondering if I could ever really be a representative of the body if I couldn't even copy what Christ had taught me. I could feel this beast ripping me open, slowly exposing itself to the world. I started to wonder who I was, even what I was. I started to believe salvation had to be out of reach because Christ couldn't possibly have died for a beast like me. But you see, God told me the same thing he told Paul. My grace is sufficient for you. My grace is sufficient for you, which means if I confess my sins, he is faithful and just to forgive my sin and to cleanse me of all unrighteousness. And with every other temptation, he is faithful to provide a way of escape that I may be able to bear it, because I should have been inanimate, this animal that I have been. I merit nothing but the wages of a worker with a list of sins, but thanks to him, I no longer fear the hand of death. The threat of my debt no longer hangs over my head, so I can lift my eyes to the hills from whence comes my help and call upon the God who gave himself for myself. If I'm alive today, if I am who I am today, I must claim righteousness by faith, because his grace is more than good enough for me, and his grace is more than good enough for you. But don't take my word for it. If you let him, he'll prove it to you too. I know he will. He must. He's God.